Teysa Karlov versus Rashmi, Eternities Crafter. Well, we've got some death trigger shenanigans in hand. Not much ramp though. We're just going to have to keep it and hope that our opponent doesn't get into a Sol Ring on turn 1. We might just be looking at a turn 1 Rashmi. Or not a turn 1 Rashmi, but yeah, there's some acceleration from our opponent. They exile Prime Speaker Zagana, which I don't mind seeing the back of. An Incubation Druid might mean a turn 2 Rashmi. Let's go for land tax. We just drew into that on turn 1, so that will fix our lands for the rest of the game most likely. Rashmi Eternities Crafter is a 2/3 in Simic for 4 mana. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land with CMC less than the spells, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't, then put it into your hand. Teysa Karlov, the Necromonicon commander, 4 mana for a 2/4 in Orzhov. Gives our tokens Vigilance and Lifelink. And if a creature dying causes a death trigger 2 trigger, then it triggers twice. And Rashmi, Eternities Crafter, did come down on turn 2. Our opponent's down to 3 cards in hand. I'm hoping we'll be able to catch up and get down a Toxic Deluge on them. Let's go for a Plains and a couple of Swamps. Oh, Mana Crypt. Yeah, let's go Mana Crypt into... I don't want to get down Teysa. I want to Toxic Deluge here and punish our opponent for their fast start. There we go, and then we might as well just get down the Skull Clamp. Probably get down a Lender next turn. Yeah, and then maybe going for Teysa Karlov the turn after. They can't get down Rashmi for a couple of turns now unless they get into some acceleration. Bounty of the Luxor. Yeah, that will give them some acceleration, so we still need to be wary here. Just thinning out our library with land tax, so we'll get a couple of Plains and then a Swamp to discard. And yeah, of course, we just draw into more basics. We'll go for the Elenda, the Dusk Rose. And then we can just discard a Swamp. Really wish we had Scroll Rack in the deck when this happens with land tax. It's a nice little interaction that you can do with land tax. Once your hand is filled with basics, you can throw them back on top with Scroll Rack and then shuffle your library up with a Verdant Catacombs or some kind of fetch land or tutor. And then you've got a fresh load of cards in hand and on top of your library then. But we don't have anything like that in the deck. Now, our opponent might go for Sakura Tribelder sacrificing itself before we get down Teysa. That's what they should do. Because if they don't, then Elenda will see the death trigger twice thanks to Teysa. Only 1 card left in our opponent's library, in their hand. 88 cards left in their library. And I'll just grab some Swamps. And doesn't seem to matter how many of these basics we pull out of our library. I think that's 2 or 3 turns in a row that we've drawn into those now. Alright, let's get down Teysa Karlov. Alright, not sacrificing Sakura Tribelder in response. So that means that when it dies, Elenda will get 2 +1/+1 counters. Put the Skull Clamp on Teysa. I doubt we're going to send her to the graveyard, but we'll put it on there anyway. There we go. We get 2 +1/+1 counters when Sakura Tribelder dies. And then when Elenda the Dusk Rose dies, we create X 1/1 vampire tokens with lifelink, where X is a lender's power. Oh, and they did it in response to... I thought that was towards the end of our turn there. So let's just swing in with a lender and get some damage onto our opponent. We couldn't equip up a lender with the skull clamp. I don't know why they sacked Sakura Tribe Elder there. They could have blocked this damage. And they could have kept us off some lifelink as well. Had they have blocked with Sakura Tribe Elder and then sacrificed it in response before damage, we wouldn't have gained any life. Might not be relevant, but you never know. You better not making plays like that. Now we'll skull clamp onto a lender because a lender will actually die to a board wipe. Or targeted removal, anything like that. May well see a Rashmi come out this turn. Our opponent has Simic and a colourless in their mana pool now. 6 mana it'll cost to get Rashmi out. And there it is, 1 card in our opponent's hand. Now let's see if we can draw into something other than a basic land. Well, we get a Swords to Plowshares, so we can attempt to get that off on Rashmi. See if the last card in their hand is a counterspell. Doesn't appear as though it is. So we'll just swing in at our opponent, gain ourselves some life. We'll be back up to our starting life total once the lender hits. This will be 6 damage to our opponent. Okay, Cultivate. That just switches on land tax even more, although we have little to no basics left in our library. I think we can go for 1 more land tax trigger. And Acidic Slime comes down. That probably goes after Skull Clamp. It should go after Skull Clamp. Yeah. We haven't made any use of Skull Clamp whatsoever. And I think we still swing in with a lender next turn. Yeah, we only have 3 basics left in our library. We don't need all these in here because we can play lands for the rest of the game. Okay, Enlightened Tutor. I don't particularly mind Massacre Worm here, because I don't think it's going to be of much use to us against Rashmi, so we might as well clear the Acidic Slime out of the way and get some more counters on a lender and get damage in with Massacre Worm. Massacre Worm gives all our opponent's creatures -2/-2 until the end of the turn, and when a creature an opponent controls dies, they lose 2 life. Loses sounded like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings then. Loses 3 life, hobbits is. And obviously we're going to hold up the Enlightened Tutor. And not sure what we're going to get with Enlightened Tutor actually. Out comes Rashmi again. Our opponent took a while to do that, so I was just looking over at the deck list, and we can I'm thinking either Necropotence or Bitter Blossom. We should really grab Necropotence. Yeah, I think we have to. Yeah, we could have some fun with Bitter Blossom though. No, I think we'll go for Necropotence. Still got 1 card in our opponent's hand. Now the problem is Necropotence will force us to discard a lot of these basics, but we'll draw into lots of non-basics, so I think it's the right play to make. And then we definitely want to say no to land tax because we don't want to shuffle our library. So no, we won't use that ability. We will draw into our Necropotence, play Necropotence, see if they've gotten into a counterspell. They have not apparently, so we'll just swinging at them. And yeah, I think we can just swing in with everything. In fact, I don't really want to lose Teysa. I don't know if they have a big flash creature. So we'll just leave her back. Okay, they go for Reality Shift onto the Elender. That means that she won't trigger because she's not dying, she's being exiled. But we will have something manifested. What is it? It's Teferi's Protection, so we can't flip that over. But we can get our opponent's life total down to halfway. They were at 12 and now they're at 6. Decided to put 7 into Necropotence. We'll always yield to that. We'll see what we get into. Felwar Stone, Demonic Tutor, Ashen Rider. Yeah, that's some good stuff. Need to get rid of 4 more cards. So let's get rid of that. And we don't need Anointed Procession, do we? Or Intangible Virtue. Yeah, so let's just go like that. Yeah, if we still had Elender the Dusk Rose, getting into Anointed Procession and Intangible Virtue would be really good, especially with Hidden Stockpile. It's always good to have a sack outlet for things such as Reality Shift. You can respond to it and keep things from getting exiled. It seems to be now or never for our opponent because Ashen Rider next turn will keep Rashmi from blocking. Okay, Merc-Fiend Liege. And that's a big spell, so they'll get, they get an Oracle of Muldiah for free. So they might get even more lands into play with that. Top of their library is a Verdant Catacomb, so they can play that. Merc-Fiend Liege gives Simic creatures +1/+1 twice, and untap all green and or blue creatures you control during each other player's untap step. A little bit like a Prophet of Krufix. Get a couple of lands into play there. Skyshroud Claim is on top. They can shuffle up their library with either of these 2 fetches. Okay, Song of the Dryads actually isn't that bad on Necropotence because that means we draw next turn. So I'm not too averse to that. See what card we draw. Land Tax is there again. Alright, see. Oh, we get into Zulaport Cutthroat. So I'm sure we can get something going here now. And if we go Demonic Tutor into another Aristocrat. Well, let's see if we can get down Hidden Stockpile first of all. We'll get down Zulaport Cutthroat. And then we'll go Demonic Tutor. And we can go for a board wipe, or we can just go for another Aristocrat. I think I want to go for Blood Artist. And then we sacrifice our Manifest creature. And there we go. That is 4 life being drained from our opponent. And these, the Blood Artist and the Zulaport Cutthroat are death triggers. We'll get some more card draw on top of our library, that's fine. And then we kill Massacre Worm. Yeah, and our opponent sees it. We were going to kill Massacre Worm with the Hidden Stockpile, and we would have drained them for 4 more, thanks to Zulaport Cutthroat and Blood Artist. Another thing that we could have gone for there with Massacre Worm is maybe Toxic Deluge and wiped our opponent's side of the field. We could have gone for 4 into Toxic Deluge. And no, we would have gone for 5. It would have wiped the entire board, but Massacre Worm would have seen these things die. It would have seen them die twice thanks to Teysa, and that would have been 4 points of damage per thing that died. Yeah, so we could have just killed these two with Toxic Deluge. Either way, we win. That we had multiple outs there. Our opponent had a fast start, but we managed to punish them for that, so that was really good. Oh no, tell a lie, we already used Toxic Deluge, didn't we? I've played a few games, so they're all getting muddled into one big Magic the Gathering Commander mass in my brain, apparently. That was Teysa Karlov, and we've just managed to punish Rashmi, Eternities Crafter, for her fast start. Don't try and get a fast start off on us, Rashmi. Don't you do it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.